I think that in the long run, they're going to fail. They're going to become exposed, and everybody's going to see them for what they really are. I don't think it's going to be long. But hey, did y'all hear? President Trump fired James Comey today. That is the best news I've heard in forever. I first my girlfriend saw it on Facebook, and I kind of didn't believe it at first. And I got on Drudge, and sure enough, yeah, here's the article. Let me get that for y'all right now. Just give me a moment. This article was written by the New York Times by Michael D. Shear and Pat Puzo. President Trump on Tuesday fired the director of the FBI, James B. Comey, abruptly terminating the top official leading a criminal investigation into whether Mr. Trump's advisors colluded with the Russian government to steer the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. The stunning development in Mr. Trump's presidency raised the specter of political interference by a sitting president into an existing investigation by the nation's leading law enforcement agency. It immediately ignited Democratic calls for a special counsel to lead the Russian inquiry. Mr. Trump explained the firing by citing Mr. Comey's handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server, even though the president was widely seen to have benefited politically from that inquiry and had once praised Mr. Comey for his guts in the pursuit of Mrs. Clinton during the campaign. But in his letter to Mr. Comey, released to reporters by the White House, the president betrayed his focus on continuing inquiry into Russia and his aides. He said, quote, "While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau," end quote, Mr. Trump said in the letter to Mr. Comey dated Tuesday. White House officials refused to say anything more about the 3 occasions Mr. Trump cited. The officials said that Attorney General Jeff Sessions and the Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein pushed for Mr. Comey's dismissal, but many in Washington, including veteran FBI officers, saw a carefully choreographed effort by the president to create a pretense for a takedown of the president's FBI tormentor. Quote, "I cannot defend the director's handling of the conclusion of the investigation of Secretary Clinton's emails," Mr. Rosenstein wrote in another letter that was released by the White House. Said, quote, "And I do not understand his refusal to accept the nearly universal judgment that he was mistaken," end quote. Reaction in Washington was swift and fierce. Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic leader, said the firing could make Americans suspect a cover-up. Mr. Trump lashed back later Tuesday night in a Twitter post, saying, quote, "Crying Chuck Schumer stated recently, I do not have confidence in him," meaning James Comey, any longer. That acts so indignant, end quote. Many Republicans assailed the president for making a rash decision that could have deep implications for their party. Representative Josh Amish, Republican of Michigan, said on Twitter that he now supports an independent commission to investigate the Russian links to Mr. Trump. He called Mr. Trump's claim that Mr. Comey had cleared him 3 times, quote, bizarre. He also said, quote, I've been the last several hours trying to find an acceptable rationale for the timing of Comey's firing. Senator Jeff Flake, Republican of Arizona, said on Twitter, quote, I just can't do it. See if there's anything. I don't see anything else important in here. I mean, y'all can always go check out the article. The link's up on Drudge. But if you're a subscriber of the New York Times, I'm sure you can read it there. I'm sure there's plenty of articles everywhere of it. Matter of fact, but in other news, well, actually, on that very subject, Democrats are wanting an immediate emergency hearing over Comey's firing. They're all raising hell. In an article written or published by The Hill, written by, I don't want to subscribe to The Hill, written by Mark Hintz, the 9th of May at 7:28 p.m. called Cummings Wants Emergency Hearings Over Comey's Firing. Republican Elijah Cummings, Democratic from Maryland, on Tuesday demanded, quote, immediate emergency hearings, end quote, over President Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey. Quote, Congress needs to have immediate emergency hearings to obtain testimonial directly from Attorney General Jeff Sessions, the Deputy Attorney General, and FBI Director Comey, end quote, Cummings said in a statement. Quote, the White House was already covering up former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn by refusing to provide a single document to Congress, and now the President fired the one independent person who was doing the most to investigate President Trump and his 2016 campaign over allegations of coordination with Russia, end quote. Cummings added that Sessions' involvement in Comey ouster is, quote, mind-boggling, end quote, noticing that Sessions stated that he would recuse himself from investigations into any ties between Trump and Russia. Quote, there is now a crisis of confidence at the Justice Department, and President Trump is not being held accountable because House Republicans refuse to work with us to do our job, end quote. The top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee added, The White House announced Tuesday afternoon that Trump had fired Comey following recommendations from Sessions and his deputy, Rod Rosenstein, over the handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's handling of the classified emails. Quote, "While I greatly appreciate," I just read that to y'all. But yeah, that's pretty much that article. Democrats ain't liking that. No. But, you know what? I'm loving it. He should have been fired a long time ago. He should have never served 100 days of Trump's presidency. That's the type of guy I think Comey is. He come out and said that, yeah, Hillary broke the law, and Hillary done this, and Hillary done that, and you know she did. How did he put it? Put classified information at risk, but she's old and she's senile, and we don't think that it would be wise to pursue investigation on Hillary Clinton. You know, just she's okay. She's above the law. She's above you all. Yeah. La la la. Whatever. Just go find yourself another job, Comey. You need to you need to work hard anyway. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt you a bit to do a little physical labor. You had a good job and you had other interests, it seems. There are ties between him and Clinton, the Clinton Foundation. Yeah, there are ties there. Trust me. Okay. There's a tunnel collapsing in Washington that's a nuclear site. I thought this article looked pretty interesting. Tunnel collapsing at Hanford. No radiation released, officials say. This article is from K5, NBC looks like. Hundreds of workers were told to take cover at Hanford Nuclear Reservation after a tunnel full of fully contaminated materials collapsed Tuesday morning, but officials say no radiation was released and no workers were hurt. Officials say a collapsed patch of ground that above the tunnel was larger than first believed. The U.S. Department of Energy said the collapse covered about 400 square feet or 37.1 square meters instead of the 16 feet or 1.4 square meters first reported. Hundreds of workers were told to go into a take cover position after the tunnel in a plutonium-uranium extraction plant collapsed. The agency says the rail tunnels were made of wood and concrete and are hundreds of feet long with about 8 feet or 2.4 meters of soil covering them. The U.S. Department of Energy says the incident caused the soil above the tunnels to sink between 2 and 4 feet, half to 1.2 meters. They were originally constructed to hold rail cars that were loaded with contaminated equipment. 8 rail cars are in the tunnel that collapsed, but feeds into a longer tunnel that contains 28 loaded rail cars. The tunnel collapsed near where